legends in the SCA. Somebody who was actually, for those of you that were here last year, was actually introduced to a lot of you because last year, if not in person, because Duke Sean mentioned and referred to Lighthouse Sagan's instruction many, many times. And so the author of a lot of what we heard last year is our instructor today. So please show your appreciation and thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Sagan. I've been fighting since 1977. I've fought in 4 kingdoms, and from the age of about 3 months, I began training people. It became apparent to my knight, as well as myself, that this sport was absolutely intuitive to me. And when I was handed different weapons, it took me a very short time to learn how to use them. From that, I decided that my niche in the SCA was to train all who would offer me the honor and the opportunity to be with them. My knight, my first knight, was Sir Kennicraig Gilchrist from the Middle Kingdom, who I met in the East Kingdom. My second knight was Duke Paul of Bellatrix. His grace and his instruction were quite enlightening. My last trainer before being knighted was His Grace Duke Radnor of Gildemar, who in the Western Kingdom became the predominant fighter after Paul. And they were really something to see because their styles and techniques were so vastly different. Radnor was colorblind completely. He saw in black and white. His brain wasn't busy sorting out colors, and any movement was detected immediately. He had cat-like reflexes. Speed that was just you couldn't even fathom it. People were just so agog that they would just watch and just, how can you move that quickly? And to him it was natural. One of the nicest people you'd ever meet. In the SCA, I guess I should tell you, I'm known as Landsgraf Baron Sir Master Wolfsagen von Ostensee, given the name Kingmaker in the King of the West. My students were exemplary. What we're going to share today is going to be common to everyone here. Fighters all, non-fighters, because you've either seen it or you've done it. So you'll understand what I'm talking about. And then we go into some of the technical side of it and how far do you want to take it. There's going to be the guy that comes out, the lady that comes out every odd Saturday to have fun with her friends. I don't have a problem with that. Then there's going to be the person who turns out to be the absolute competitor. Just an absolute competitor. Sometimes in that person, customs traditions are lost a little bit. And it does come down to a tally. At the end of the day, they want their tally to be better than yours. There should be room in the SCA for both of those aspects. Unfortunately, sometimes both of those aspects are the ones that are ostracized. This person's not serious enough, and this person is way too serious. And we'll speak to that a little bit. But somewhere in this line, from the very first day you showed up to fight until now, is where you are. Somewhere in that line is where you want to be. It may be that you are going to be an unbelted for the rest of your SCA career. There's nothing wrong with that. Not having an aspiration to the accolade doesn't mean that you're a lesser fighter, that you're a lesser participant in the SCA. It just means that you're going to go across this line as far as you can. Across that line, you're going to meet people of varying skill levels, and you're going to meet some people that are just exemplary on the field, off the field. They'll fight with all the weapons for them. The term I call fighting the rack, that you'll probably hear 2 or 3 or 5 or 12 times today, because that's who they are. You're going to find some people that maybe even on the right side of this thing fight with 2 forms, and maybe only really one, sword and shield. Or they'll fight with a double-handed sword, or they'll fight with two-sword. Predominant styles. What was interesting for me was with Duke Paul and Duke Radnor, their predominant style was two-sword. They were really good at sword and shield, but they were exemplary with two swords. So a lot of their reaction timings and things were far faster than what we were accustomed to. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to start out answering for yourselves where you think you are on this line. Then we'll ask you some questions like, who is the top percent here in this kingdom? Albie, who's in the top 2%? Who of the top 2%? Name me 3 fighters that are absolute top 2%.
Protus. Gregory. Takamatsu.
Okay? He's named 3 people. How many of you here agree that those 3 people are in the top 2%? Oh. Wow.
He said Protus, Gregory, and Takamatsu.
Okay. Everybody know these people? Everybody agree? Ah, now, St. Martin. Name me 3 top 2% fighters in this kingdom.
Baldar, Greg, and any of the top 2%?
Denny?
Okay. Baldar, Greg.
Okay, so Greg, and we're talking the same Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, so Gregory's popped out twice. Okay. Everybody agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now then, Sir Troublemaker. yeah, don't bother. I got your back.
Vindication!
I got your back. Okay.
Vindication!
So, Gregory, what exemplifies him as a top 2%?
Inhuman speed.
Speed, okay?
Efficiency of movement. He's very fast, but he doesn't bounce around. He's very efficient with his movement.
Okay.
And extremely accurate.
Here we go. Okay? So, we've got these guys to agree with us now that Gregory, oh boy, here we go. Right? So we need one more contemporary of Gregory. Anybody? Baldar?
Baldar and Thorson.
Okay. So now we've named about 8 different individuals. Now whether or not everybody agrees that they're in the top 2%, I guarantee you they're on this side of the scale somewhere. Okay? So fighting-wise, these people are all over here. And then, you know, courtly graces and all that stuff. Let's just leave that out of this. We're going to talk about fighting today. But I guarantee you that courtly graces, manners on the field, honor, chivalry, largesse to an opponent, that all plays in this. It really does. And we'll address those later on. But for right now, has everybody identified where they are on that scale? Okay? Yeah. No, you, come here. That was a good answer. That was a good answer. And you're a squire. I'm of a code where all squires are mine. I'm responsible for you. Okay? I might not own you in fealty. And your name is? Pinko. Point to me. Where are you? Is he? That's fair. Anybody disagree? Don't grin, you're next. Up you come. Here we go. Come on, up you come. I'm Sagan, by the way. Solon. Where are you?
I'm in the same spot.
Are you? No. Your Grace, if you would. Where's Solon on here?
Most days he's about here. When he's paying attention, he's about here.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
Okay. So why do we do this? Well, we're getting a framework of ideas. Where do you feel you are? And then ask somebody. Ask these dukes. Ask the other knights. Ask your contemporaries. Where do you think I am? Because if you're interested in progressing across that, you need that information. If you're not interested in progressing across it, okay. Don't have a problem with that. I really don't. So, now that we know that, let's go to an object lesson. How wide is that minimum?
10-quarter.
Is there any way, if I told you the idea was to get this past those, that you would tell me that would be difficult? No. We all understand that. But when you take 1 1/4 and you put it up against any of these shields, there's no way that's going to fit through there. Right? This should be easy. There's no way this could happen. Yet we count on it in our sport and we know it does. And somebody's provided me a sword with a thrusting tip that needs to get past or through one of those. Happens all the time. In looking at it, this should be almost impossible. You've got something that big to block something this small. This should be easy. We should never get hit. Okay, so now we're going to start going into why it happens. Our sport is really, really simple. Absolutely simple. We're going to talk sword and board today. But the things we're going to talk about are true no matter what. Offense. The ability to strike a target minimum of 3/8 of an inch. If you take a 1/4 inch stick of rattan and lay it on a curved piece of armor, you're not talking about a contact point that's very big. Right? So now all of a sudden your target is really small. This should be really simple. This is going to be easy. Defense, the ability to block, evade, redirect, and then the one everybody goes, huh? Except a blow from a weapon minimum of 1 1/4 inches. Any of the terms up there unfamiliar to anybody? We understand all this stuff. Right? So we've now broken our sport down to there's a stick, there's a board, there's offense, and there's defense. And we're going to keep doing this throughout this. Yet, when we look at this and we look at these weapons and these shields and we come up here, all of a sudden there's a dramatic difference, isn't there? Who's fast, who's slow, who has really good defense, right? Who uses a round shield, right? Who uses a kite? Heaters. There we go. 2-stick. Okay? All of a sudden now we're talking different weapons forms. Somebody comes out with a sword and an axe, and you haven't seen that before. Oh boy, here we go. Right? Because now you're thinking, well, that guy's only got 2 of those sticks in his hand. I've got a 3-foot shield that's 1.5 feet wide. He ain't got a prayer. Because I got way more protection stuff than he's got weapons. And now, since it's an axe, he's only got 4 inches of striking surface to hit me with. I have got this made. Yet it's all about the techniques. It's all about how and who is using them. So now we start to get into the idea and the differences. Again, looking at that scale of fighters. Everything we do has a mental and physical aspect to it. Even walking, even me standing here, moving my arms and stepping forward a little bit. In this chart here is where we start to define the differences between that 0-day fighter and a top 2%er. I'm On the left-hand side of that chart is an action fighter. 0 days, beginners, lower unbelteds. They're standing there and they're faced off against His Grace, and they're like, oh, okay. They're trying to discern targets, yet they're worried about being hit. Why? Because then they lose. Then they get wounded. That's on the mental side. On the physical side, they're ready to go. Most of them are standing there on guard. But if the mental side overtakes the physicalness of a fight, you can lose before you even walk on the field. So to all you beginners and whatnot, I don't care if it's Duke so-and-so with a what's it in his hand. I really couldn't care less. Neither should you. You've trained, you've practiced, and now it's time to perform. It's Crown Tournament next week. You've trained, you've practiced, it's time to perform. Okay, easy enough. One in the middle, upper unbelteds and the lower ninths. Every once in a while they get a reaction. A lot of the time they're thinking about it, but they're not taking as long. They're setting you up and you might not know it. They're moving back and forth, and they're moving right to left. And what are they looking for? They're looking for the two types of targets, as everybody is. Type of targets that you, in the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you throw a blow, the way you move your shield, the way you recover your weapon and your shield, the way you move backwards and forwards, offers targets every time you move. Simple enough. Throwing a fake at you, or they notice that when you turn to the left or you turn to the right, your shield goes first. So it either opens up the back or it opens up the front. Inherent in that is the idea that if I move you left or I move you right, predominantly you're going to offer me targets. And if you don't notice that I'm in range, or you don't notice that I've suddenly shifted from here to here, right, and I'm ready to shoot, you don't even perceive the danger. Now then, on the right-hand side is a reactionary fighter, the top 2%. They're not wondering what's going on. They're not thinking about what's open. They're not really, it's a walk in the park. It's a piece of cake. I've done this thousands of times. Through their ocularium is coming the information as to whether or not they're in range. Through the ocularium is coming whether you're going left or right or back or forwards. Through the ocularium comes the moment where I've got tone. From that point on, depending upon when they want to shoot, they will shoot. How many of your opponents walk onto the field dead? You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their eyes. There is no intent. This person is dead. The herald has announced that they're about to meet Duke St. Martin. The music goes off.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at that point, as soon as their name is announced and His Grace's name is, it's over. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. We are all brothers and sisters of the blade. I offer to my opponent the opportunity. I offer to my opponent the honor and the largesse and the gratefulness of the opportunity to fight with them. Offer that up each and every time. Do you owe it to them? I can't say that. Is it expected? I can't say that either. But is it a joy to see a fully acclaimed opponent walk to you? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like fighting your best friend and you guys have been fighting for 15 years or whatever, and there's just no greater joy than seeing that person armed and ready. Win, lose, or draw. Doesn't matter. So, in this person here, though, these are action-based fighters. This is a reactionary fighter. These two things, no matter what's in them, are not really thought controlled. They've been trained and practiced to react. You're talking about extreme targeting capability. Yeah, guaranteed. guaranteed this person is a reactionary fighter. Right? Ease of movement, economy of movement. He's looking for a couple of things. One is you to be in range. And two is the opportunity to shoot. How many blows will they throw? Is it a combination? Is it a moulinet? Is it a complete setup? Is it a fake? So you don't really know. Guarantee you, Gregory's not probably quite sure either. A lot of the fights, once I was fully trained and whatnot, were tunnel vision. It wasn't until the end of the fight that I realized what was going on. It just wasn't that clear to me. I knew that I had certain things going on, they all happened, and boom, things go off. In winning and in dying. Okay. So I'm not standing here telling you I've never been defeated, because that would be untrue. However, in learning about fighting and how the function works, and the mental and physical, and learning how the mental can be affected by it's Duke so-and-so with a what's-it. Yes, so. But you can watch. You're going to Crown next week. Watch out for one another. Make sure that's not happening. Boost each other up a little bit. Right? Talk to one another. Make it a little bit easier. Win, lose, or draw. Fair enough. When you lose, don't lose the lesson. There's a lesson in there. Something happened. All right? You lost. Well, that's nice. Why? I don't know how many fighters I've talked to, they come off the field and I say, why did you lose? And they went, oh, it's just Duke so-and-so with a what's it. Oh, really? No, that's not it. The real trick is asking yourself, how many times have you died the exact same thing? There's got to be a trend there somewhere. Steve, he always beats me. Which side is that affected, obviously? The middle side. If you're not out there to actually learn, you know, okay. If you're the person that's going to stay down here somewhere, that's fine. You're out there to have a good time with your friends. However, if you are on a journey somewhere, I guarantee you that knowing why you're losing is important. And knowing why you're not winning, this is going to sound funny, is just as important. Right? Because now you have to go back through the blows you threw. You have to ask yourself all these questions. Well, when did I throw them? Why did I throw them? What was going on? What did I see that obviously wasn't there? Where was I? How close was I? Where were my feet? All these questions that without a solid base you can't really shoot. Right? If you lose the ability to move your upper body by squaring up, well, now what are you going to do? Well, you have almost no opportunity because you're going to put both of these things together. And if I can force you into putting these things close to one another, that's really good from my point of view. Because you're not going to move either one of them without me really seeing it. And this one, and I've seen guys fight down here, you have to load this. So you're telling me outright that at that moment, this isn't loaded. Think of where your weapon goes when you retrieve it. Do you come back to a set position? And if it does come here, where's your foot? Where's your left foot? Where's your shield? Now I guarantee you, we'll prove today, for those of you that don't realize you aren't resetting completely, we'll prove to you today that you aren't resetting completely. And we'll catch you in traps where we'll get you to hold your sword out here all of a sudden. Wherever it's normally at, it's not going to be there. So that being said, the primary thing that I teach is training. Training is where we learn. Practice is where we hone it. Combat is where we use it. I guarantee if you try and learn something at Crown while you're in combat with Duke so-and-so with a what's-it, that's probably not going to go well. Probably a bad time to think it's time to train yourself into something new. The one thing about training is it offers us two roles. Two distinct roles when you take it seriously. There's a trainer and there's a trainee. Okay? A lot of times we don't even take it this far. We just go out and we practice. Right? When you go to practice, what are you working on? What are you working on?
Technique.
You're working on technique. That means that you have tracked from the last time you were there, and you're going to work on what went wrong then. Until now, you're going to notice the difference and move forward. Well said. When you go to practice, what are you doing?
Most of the time is evaluation and critiquing.
Okay. Of who?
Of particularly the unbelted fighters.
Your roles are different. Right? Your roles are different. But I guarantee you, his grace, every once in a while, somebody's going to pull something out of a hat that's going to get him, and he's going to go, I like that from a couple of different reasons. One, there we go. One, I hadn't seen that before. I hadn't seen it in a while. And two, I didn't know I had that weakness in my defense. Right? Perpetual students. I am a perpetual student of this form. To me, it was one of the ways to stay a better teacher, was to be the perpetual student. What we're working on today, I'm not going to teach you to fight like me. I'm not going to teach you to fight like His Grace or His Grace Martin. What we're going to work on is the ideas that you can use to go across that line as far as you want to, okay, or assist others to do so. I have met some people with an excellent eye that were really good technicians that weren't fighters of that top 2%. But they were really good at, they understood the mechanics, the body mechanics of how this works. So we're going to diverge here a minute. Okay, martial arts. Karate students, hands in the air. Aikido. Kendo. Okay. Krav. Things like that. Each one of you were taught most of this, mental, physical, linked together to form ki, or chi in the Chinese. The absolute coordination of the mind and body to perform a function. Of repetitive motions in kata and form, right? Not judged on mere ability to strike, but how well did you go through the form to get to the strike. We don't do that here. We really don't. Right? So there's no burden upon you to come out and perform to a prescribed book, because there is no book. So when we look at this and we say, I want to train, somebody's got to agree to be the trainer and the trainee. The trainer speaks, the trainee listens, the trainee questions, the trainer clarifies, the trainer confirms that the trainee understands, the trainee answers and questions. Finally, the trainer clarifies, confirms one last time. The trainee agrees, I understand. The trainee performs, and the trainer critiques. Again and again and again and again. Is that what happens? All right, squires. Who's been guilty of walking up to somebody and going, how did you do that? Yeah. And what'd they tell you? They told you exactly what they did. Did they tell you not to do it against a lefty? Don't ever do it against a pole armsman? By the way, it was 2 movements to the setup to shoot that. A lot of times, no. But conversely, since you were actually asking the question, did you ask them, do I do it against a lefty? Do I do it against a pole arm? Do I do it against, Duke so-and-so with a what's-it? What were the setups? Did you notice that that person was 6 inches taller than you? Things like that. Person was half again as fast as you were. All these questions come into training from the aspect of we're moving across the line. We want to learn advanced techniques. Right? Going out and is there anybody here that's afraid to talk to a Duke? I hope not. Right? Because I pretty much guarantee you, no matter where you are across that line, they've already been there. They've been there, done that. They've helped others move across the line. So there's no mystery in this. Practice. Opponent versus opponent can turn to training. You're at practice and something's going on, and you know you've noticed that 5 people seem to get you with a wrap every time you throw a leg shot. Well, now it's time to stop and ask one of them why. And then work out how to get around it. Right? Guarantee there's something there, right? You may have what I call an offensive-defense lockout. You can't use both of these at the same moment. You can't lift this and throw that shot. Some people have it, some people don't. Right? You have to work out which one it is. Sometimes it shows up in really opportune times, like Crown next week. Okay? Combat, easy enough. Opponent versus opponent. In some extremes, if you wanted a friend, bring your dog. Done. I'm here in the 4th round of Crown. My objective is to get this fight over with and get to the 5th round. Economy of effort. Blistering speed. Right? Conservation of energy. Here we go. Normal fight. How many blows you throw?
Depends who I'm fighting against.
And how many blows might that be on the upper scale of counting?
Make them work and sweat it as much as I can.
Right.
Try to get it done.
Right. You're trying to get it done. So, when you're in a fight in Crown, and you've already thrown 15 shots, right? How well is that going to serve you going on to the next round? And then you've got 5 rounds after that. Normal Crown length here is how many rounds? 6 rounds? 6 rounds?
Whereas you include the last 2 after Indiana.
How many people are in Crown?
12.
Oh, okay. So is it double elimination or pools? Double elimination. Okay. So if you know for a fact that you're going to fight 8 rounds of Crown, how many fights you think you should fight in practice?
3 times as many.
When you're fighting in practice, right? How many are you going to fight? You're trying to get ready for Crown, and it's how hot outside? In the early and it's how humid? Right? All of a sudden, if I haven't fought at least that many fights, if I haven't doubled that, and if I haven't been practicing in the heat and the humidity, and you get to Crown, and all of a sudden, boy, you know, any fight lasting over about 8 or 10 blows, wow, I mean, I'm just tanked. So there's a lot of this that when you go to practice and you're paying attention to what you're doing, you're having fun fighting. It's also with the idea of looking towards the tournament, if that's where you're looking. And then there's always war. Yeah, I knew that'd make you grin, big guy. Yeah, war. There we go. And how long is that going to take? We don't know. Yeah, exactly. There you are, right? You get to Penzing, you get to Gulf Wars, you get to wherever, and it's like, okay, we're starting in 20 minutes. An hour and a half later, you've been standing there in your armor, waiting because St. Martin told you 20 minutes. Now there's no way he'd lie to me, right? And then the marshals have to go do this, and then the marshals have to go do that. So, we look at this. This is fairly easy. How many of you are paying attention to your nutrition, your hydration? I mean, I'm in a place where, yeah, no, I don't think I'd be fighting down here in the summertime. Right? Now, it's hot where I come from in Idaho. It's not this hot, and we don't have humidity. You guys specialize in humidity. I guarantee you, yeah. You could probably get more water out of one of your gambesons that I see in a year. Okay? So, all of a sudden, you start looking at fighting from the aspect of, in that top 2%, there's going to be, you know, across the line, there's going to be people that are going to be hydrated, they're going to be paying attention to their nutrition, they're going to be working out, they're going to be doing hell work. They're going to be going to practice as often as they can. They're going to call friends during the week saying, hey, come over, I need to do shield drills. I need to do sword drills. I need to do whatever. And then on top of that, there's all the armor. All the armor has to be maintained. Right? I mean, you're wearing your second skin. That's just the way it is. That's what it becomes to us. We don't pay attention to it when we're wearing it. Right? Because people are always asking you, well, how can you do anything in that? Just because it's a second skin. Top 2%.